Holy folly, you are God living in her own dream. Welcome to this video, part of the Mystics Journal series. You can call me Agape from Love Has One Mystery School. And in these videos, I share insights, breakthroughs, updates, anything that comes up that I feel might help you guys. So the first thing in this video that I'd like to talk about is this analogy of a moth to a flame. So a moth, as we know, is attracted to the flame, but if it gets too close, then it dies, the flame burns it. So you might initially think, well, why is that? But this story is a perfect analogy for returning to love. So you can imagine flame as pure love, as pure life, the universe, divine feminine, and your being is the moth. Now, for you to experience life, the divine, pure love in its purest form, the divine feminine, then you have to lay down your ego. You have to intentionally kill off your ego in order to experience the divine feminine. So what happens with a lot of people that I observe on the spiritual journey is they're very attracted to the flame. They're very attracted to go deep into the truth of who they are. However, there then comes a point where it's like, oh, it seems a bit scary because I feel like I'm going to lose myself if I go too close. So this is exactly symbolized by the moth. So it comes to the flame, but then if it gets too close, it detracts and then keeps going like that. And eventually, if it's brave enough, it goes so close to the flame, it dies, but it becomes one with the flame, united. While its illusory form burns, it unites and becomes one with the flame. And that's exactly what happens when you go further into the truth of who you are. You must intentionally lay down your ego, this false individual self, in order to experience union, oneness with love. So I thought that was very profound and interesting. Hopefully you do too. The second thing to talk about is some people may be rushing through their healing in order to get to some final destination where in their minds there's no more healing to do. But that's not been my experience. There is always healing to do. The healing never actually stops. However, what changes is the parameters of who you feel you are. Okay, so initially you might still believe that you are this individual self. So during that phase, you will be healing just your energy. But then eventually, once you made good progress with that, you start expanding your parameters, travel up the dimensions, and realize you're not just this individual self. You also create everything you experience with your beliefs and your mind. So the parameters of who you are expands to your experiences. And so you start using your experiences to realize what you need to heal within your own mind. And again, once you've made good progress with that, you start expanding your parameters even further. And you think, well, I'm not just this individual self and the experiences it creates. I am everything. And so the parameters of who you are encompass a greater number of people, things, environments, where it becomes, okay, everything that in your reality is now you. So the healing of everything in your reality becomes your responsibility. That's what you start healing. So you're no longer just healing just this so-called individual body. You've just expanded your parameters, and now you're healing everything within that parameter. And then it keeps going further and further to you are all the infinite possibilities of the present moment. And so you start healing all those infinite possibilities. So it does get quite advanced beyond that, but hopefully you get the idea where the healing doesn't stop. So the reason I mention that is to dispel this a desire to meet some kind of end goal where the healing stops. It doesn't stop. So what I'd recommend is to actually find the joy in healing. It's very joyful. It's actually very orgasmic if you know what you're doing. So I would suggest get this idea that there's an endpoint to the healing out of your mind and focus on enjoying, transmuting and healing. It's a beautiful experience if you don't resist it, if you don't judge it. And the final thing I'd like to mention is a lot of religions talk about God being a judge. Only God can judge. God is the ultimate judge, blah, blah, blah. But this is so backwards. As with most things in religions, usually the opposite is actually true. So they're saying that God is a judge, a judgmental God. Anyone who's grown up in religion, it seems like God judges the good from the bad and so on. God judges who deserves this and who doesn't. But that's not what happens at all. That comes from people who don't actually know what God is. God is what is experienced when all judgments are dropped. Judgments are what get in the way of you remembering that you are God, remembering the God that you are. So in order for you to remember the God, the love, the infinite universe that you are, you have to drop all judgments. And then you'll know what God is. God is not a judge. God is the absence of judgment. So I thought I would correct that misbelief, this lie in this video. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any questions you'd like me to answer or any comments, leave a comment below this video. And I'll see you next time. Yours joygasmically, Agape.